Hey, cool. That was quite quick, that blue bar. Hello, everybody. Today is Thursday, the 31st of January. Already the first month over it this year, 2019. We are waiting for a couple of more people to come on the panel, but it is quite early in Australia right now because obviously it's tomorrow. It's the 1st of February. So far on the panel is our Patricia and Brett from Australia is here. So hi, guys.
Howdy doody.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Patricia. Yeah, it's about 8 o'clock in the morning for you, isn't it, Brett?
Yeah, 8 o'clock. Yeah, 8:09. Yeah.
Well, sorry, everybody. Me and Brett have been talking massively before we went live. Brett, you liked that video I sent you of, I've forgotten his name now. You said his name.
Yeah, Nagus or something.
Yeah. Oh, look, Trouble, she's here. Trouble, well done, Trouble. She's just joined the hangout. We'll just let her get herself sorted out. So there is 2 Aussies here. That's great. We're just waiting for Owen. Yeah, talk about what I sent you because it's ridiculous, isn't it?
The mud.
Yeah,
history of Australia.
Yeah.
Is that where? I don't know if I want to start with the history of Australia because I've learned a fair bit the last couple of weeks about the history of the world, and it's pretty in your face what I've learned, and I've cross-referenced it, and it all seems to stack up. That's what I was saying to you before.
Yeah, so did you feel that guy's, I mean, it's just obvious, like in 1835, they built these most amazing buildings, and yet he basically just moved to Australia as prisoners. And then within a very short period of time, all these amazing buildings are there, which is just incredible and can't be.
And it's a rabbit hole that goes very, very deep. And I think it would probably disturb a lot of people in England.
Actually, Trouble might have sent me the link, to be honest. It might have been her that sent it.
I'm just going to drop out. I've managed to get Hangouts on my iPad, and I'm a lot clearer on that. So just give me 5 minutes, and I'm going to come back in on.
You sound okay on this one.
Do I?
Yeah, you sound perfect.
Oh, unusual.
To me, you're not quite as loud as Karen. So if you can be a bit louder, that'd be all right.
Yeah, I'd rather go onto the iPad because it's.
Go for it, Trouble. And Trouble also loves all this stuff about the buildings and the mud floods. So we could have a look about that. Go on then, Trouble. Go off and come back.
Okay.
But in a sense, it's still quite amazing to think how far away you are, Brett, and we're able to talk to you, you know.
Oh yeah, it blows my mind, and I'm absolutely. I have to thank you again for the invitation. It's
it's great. It's great to have an open mind. You know, I don't know. I spotted you, didn't I? And you know the fact that you have this small arcing in the sky, and it's north, it's colder, and south, it's hotter. I don't get this small arcing. It's much larger here.
Yeah, this is where I'm really keen to continue this journey because I sense I'm really keen to see what happens up there during your summer solstice, our winter solstice in June, because we don't get our arc is quite big here during summer, but it doesn't seem as big as the one you get in your winter, and our arc in winter isn't very big either. So in winter here or during June. It rises very, very northeast and sets very, very northwest, and it goes in a fairly well straight line. What's that?
I was just so surprised when you think of how big Australia is, that your arcing that you see, because you stood on the beach and you showed us that, you know, in the sky, it goes here in the winter and there in the summer, but the arcing didn't change, did it? It was still the same basic size arcing. It's just that it's more north in the winter.
No, this is what I say. This is what I say. In summer, this is where I'm really, really curious because I'm not sure what yours is like, but our arc here in summer is.
The summer,
our arc here in summer is quite big, but our arc in winter is not big. Like our arc in winters, we've just got this sun in the distant northern sky, where the moon normally is right now, to be honest. It's way up north, and we only get sort of 8 hours sunlight, 10 or something like that, and the arc's a lot less.
Right.
Where are you at?
I'm in Central Coast between Newcastle and Sydney.
Hey, Trouble, that's better.
Yeah.
Yeah, Trouble. Oh, we've had quite a few hangouts with Trouble.
That's
Best one, Trouble.
That's crystal clear.
It's heaps better, isn't it? I should have done this months ago.
Whoa!
Listen to you.
Yay! Yeah. Brett, let's halt that a minute because Trouble's here and Trouble loves that bit about the mud floods and everything, don't you?
Yeah. I went and filmed a bit of Brisbane. But yeah, I'm always on mud floods. But yeah, I filmed some of Brisbane trying to see what buildings look like the mud flooders and just the big old machines. I think they're machines. Yeah.
Can you explain what mud floods are? What it actually means? Mud floods?
Yeah. So can you think of the New Zealand earthquakes where they had liquefaction?
Uh-huh.
So think of that more than a Noah's flood.
Okay.
Some sort of disaster that somehow made the land rise or the buildings sink. Depends on how you want to look at it.
We always assume it's a water thing that went on with Noah, but it could have just been the earth where it liquefied and everything moved that way.
Well, it could have been all disasters. It could have been all disasters because apparently in these they can be earthquakes and they can create volcanoes. So it could have been a worldwide catastrophe, but maybe just of a different kind, or maybe it was just easier to say flood to cover the whole disasters. Because Australia's been underwater at some time, so that we've got shells at the top of mountains, so we got something weird happening.
I've seen. I was saying to Karen before we come on, but there's a channel called UAP channel. He's very good, and he does work with. You've seen him, yeah. I like him. He's got I love his sense of humor and just his style. He's really good, and he covers a lot of topics. But when I sort of look at his work, he talks about buildings where you can see windows under the level of the ground. So that would indicate it's happened after those buildings were built, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's only a recent phenomenon. Yeah.
That's the point.
Or the buildings are older than they tell us. Australia is not as new. These buildings may have been here before we got here. That's the other explanation, possibility.
I see.
And because I did one on Brisbane, and I'm looking at these big buildings, and they were built during the war, or just after the war, or just before the war, and I just wonder, where are all the men to build these things? And if we're in wartime, how are we building these magnificent, supposedly churches? And it's I don't know, this something doesn't quite add up. I mean, I'm not a great historian. I don't know a lot, but it doesn't look right to me.
Thing is, you probably know months of research, isn't it? Because that's what happens. You get that little niggling going on. The niggle makes you go and do more and more and more.
It does. It does. I always say that the
catacombs. Sorry.
No, you're right. Go on.
I was saying I started on the Paris catacombs because I was watching the mud flood stuff, and so I went and did a video on that, and then I thought, stuff this, I'm going to go. Well, I was in the city with my daughter. She had to go to the dentist, so I just walked around photographing the place while I waited for her. Yeah, and
so they're in Brisbane. So I lived there for 10 years. So what buildings did you sort of see that were mud flood buildings in Brizzy?
I can put it on and share screen it. Screen share it, just have it no sound in the background. One was a big church right in the middle of town. I found the Masonic Lodge, so I photographed the heck out of that place and all its medallions and things. And then
I'm quite amazed at like all these old churches, like you're saying. We built them maybe up to 200-300 years ago, and they've got these great big organs in them, with these great big pipes. And then some of them look like 5G towers to me inside the churches. You know, they look more like that. But you're able to do all that, have this gold leaf, all these symbols, and you know, like leaves, and you're able to make all that. And yet, all of us are walking around with dust carts and rags, and yeah, we were able to do all that. But we had horses and carts. They
Yeah.
don't none of that, does it? None of
You
that.
can't even go back that far in Australia. We're not old to be 300 years. So they can't even make our buildings that old. You've got to make them a lot
Right,
newer.
even from the beginning, they can't make them that old.
No.
Yeah.
Even if they are, they're not allowed to be. They can't be in Australia because we haven't been here that long. But they do some of, they still look new. It's like, oh my God.
And then I was looking up like Lithuania. Now they call those castles Gothic. They're Gothic castles. You're just thinking,
Well, that's just it. There are a few styles. I did find a red brick building, a big churchy building, and it is just stunning. I don't know what it is. And then you have these Gothic-y buildings, and then you have these other like castles. They're just chunky. I don't know, there's a few different types.
Quite amazingly, but some are built better than others. You've got star forts.
Yeah, I'm trying to work out if it's different eras or if it's different nationalities of people, so to speak. I'm liking a better word. And they all built at the same time all around the world. And different, I don't know.
It can't be true though, can it? And do you notice something, that you never find the pictures of them building the things?
No. And last night somebody was showing a heap of mud floods, and they actually started to look like music boxes, giant oversized musical boxes. They're like watches, some of these buildings. It's like they're you're just waiting for someone to like turn a knob and the whole thing will light up and start spinning and twisting and singing. And
but that's what the organs are like, aren't they? The same thing. They're to do with, you mean to say we went to all that effort so we could sing hymns?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if, I don't know, if they were like, I definitely think they're machines, but I think they're different to what, more like a factory machine, you know, like one factory might have done something, one of these machines might have built something, you know. I don't know.
Tone, he was on the other day, he was flying in an aeroplane and he was looking at the streets and the lights, and then he was going to a computer board, and he just said, our whole life we're living in a computer board, the whole thing. Towns are all like a you know, inside of a computer, the chip, the boards, everything, the things.
Yeah, that fractal pattern thing that the Earth has going on.
So it's all a bit crazy. But Brett has also now got into a bit of that, haven't you, Brett?
Yeah, sort of. This sort of goes into the rabbit holes that I've been doing the last few weeks, and they've been fairly intense. And as I say, I don't know if you want me to talk about them because they might be quite confrontational. The things I've learned, and I'm like every other sort of. Let's use conspiracy theorists. I don't like the term, but you know, any truth, anybody who seeks truth, I'm like anyone else, where I cross-reference and I try and make I cross-reference many different sources, and I try to make sure that it is right. And these things that I've learned, they're just blowing my mind. Absolutely blowing my mind.
Before we start, that now that we've sort of come across each other, it is worth keeping in touch and working out, because obviously we're starting to go into spring now and you're starting to go into autumn. So you'll have, in a few months' time, you'll have the cross-reference to how different it is here. Because
exactly.
You so concentrate on where you live, when you start noticing all these other places in the world, you know that things don't add up. Like, I'm reckoning with what I've done is that there is just hot places and cold places, and that's the way it is. Goodness knows how they turned it into a ball. But, you know, you've got Lithuania, go up to the sea. It's still 20-odd degrees up there. They're a lot more north. You know, like, they're just hot places and cold places. That's it. There isn't a cold place. You don't even think Antarctica exists, do you?
I know the sun warms us up, but I think maybe the earth also supplies a bit of heat. I'm looking for other explanations towards everything, and so I'm thinking maybe the seasons, if they're not caused by space, then what inside could be causing them? And I think that, that world, like in Nemo, you have that underground current in the oceans. Is there any chance that could be responsible for the weather?
Oh, I think anything's a chance. Anything's a chance at this point. I think that's what I say last time. I believe everything's up for discussion. I just the more, and I refuse to stop now. Like, I'm not going to stop to the day I die. I'm going to keep going with all this stuff.
So what did you find?
It's just unraveling. It's just unraveling for me. Can I say what I said to you before we come on, Karen?
Go on then. Trouble wants to know. I bet you Patricia does now, and the chat room. Go. Yeah.
So I've looked into something. I've been a World War II buff my whole life. And when I learned, when I started my journey with truthing, World War II and the orchestrated theatre and all the relevant hoaxes that go with it, it's very real. It's very, very real. The whole thing's just been a lie. But something for me that's been missing is they're all Freemasons. So all of them are Freemasons, all the big players. I used to think to myself as a kid, you couldn't make a play up with these characters. You got Roosevelt and Stalin and Hitler and Churchill. They seem like Hollywood actors to me. It's like you can't make this stuff up, And it turns out, and I did a video on it there the other day, and it all stacks up. They were all Freemason, and I'm thinking, okay, so the whole idea of World War II was basically to create the modern day Israel, which they did after World War II. And a big piece for me that was missing was that, okay, they're all Freemasons, but where were they? Where did they come from? Because Israel didn't exist yet. And I'm under the impression that Israel rule the world because they own all the media, they control the information. I liken it to the dragon in Revelation. So Revelation, you've got the red dragon, and I believe the dragon is like the Matrix. It's the information system. It's the reality we live in, and that's all controlled by Israel. But what I found out is there is a missing link. Now, as I say to Karen before, you think like every time we find truth, it's always the opposite to what we're being told. So I'm at a point now where everything we're being told, the truth is opposite. Okay. Yeah. So which country in the world is the most reclusive, the most neutral, the most perfect?
Switzerland.
Yeah.
Switzerland.
Now you look at Switzerland's flag, and this is the part that might be a little bit confronting for people in England, is you look at their flag and you look at the English flag, and then you research the Knights Templar. England and Switzerland were founded around about the same time, around about 1000, 1100, 1200 AD. They were all founded at the same time, and they were founded by the Knights Templar, who are the current Freemasons, and they are animals. They are animals, and they are the modern day Pharaoh. They're the Pharaoh in the Bible. They're the ones that created the pyramids and all that. It's the Swiss. It's just blowing me away. I just can't believe it. Like these are the sun worshippers. Like I'm a follower of Christ, and these people are the enemy.
You'll find there's a few nations that reoccur. They're reoccurring players. France is another sus one.
It's blown me away. So when you look at the history of Australia and all that, see, because I'm biblical now, and I'm reading the Old Testament at the moment, I'm just finishing up the second book of Chronicles, so I'm about halfway through the Old Testament. Something that's really occurring to me with it is that these stories in the Bible, I believe they physically occurred, and I believe they were a parable for the time, and they're a parable for all ages, including today. So when you look at the Israelites, and this is the other rabbit hole I've been down, is that those Jews that are in Israel today, they're not Jews. Jews are black. Yeah. Jews are black. Like I'm Aboriginal. So you can imagine what I'm going through.
You're just finding this out.
I'm just finding this out by reading the Old Testament. So I'm black. Right? I'm Indigenous. So I think I'm a member of the tribe of Reuben. I'm potentially a Jew. And it's blowing my head off. And then when you look at the history of Australia, and particularly the history of America, the Israelites were in bondage under the Egyptians for 400 years, and then Moses let them out. So God let them out through Moses after 400 years. So I thought, okay, when was slavery? When did slavery start in America? Now, slavery started with the Africans, who's the tribe of Judah, in 1619. 400 years after that's 2019. Now, I'm an end of days type of guy. I believe we will all see end of days. We're all going to see the second coming of Christ in our lifetime. It's blowing my head off.
Can I just say that Charles in the chat room put the first king of England was 519.
Was it?
And don't forget, they've added 1,000 years of history, so it's very unlikely that our history is close to the truth, especially timeline-wise.
I think so too. I'm starting to think 2,000 trouble, because a number that comes up a lot in the Bible is 3, and I believe we could be living in 3 parts of 1,000 years. So there was 1,000 years between creation and Noah, and then another 1,000 between Noah and Christ, and then there's been another 1,000 between Christ and us.
See, I don't do the Christ thing. I just go straight for the Creator.
So I do 6,000 year Earth, because Bible does 6,000 year Earth.
Well, if you listen to Martin Leakey, we might not be even as old as that. And now we can't trust anything because all of it's a lie. So what do you trust?
Yeah.
And
that's the thing with me. I just keep reading the Bible, because the more I keep reading it, the more this stuff it's just unraveling. It's just. As I was saying to you off air there, Karen, before, it's like the history lesson we never had.
What did I say to you before we went live about that, though?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. But the thing is, you still get plenty out of it. Like it's not. I don't pretend to even begin to scratch the surface the first time I read it, but you've got to read it for the first time at some time, And I'm reading the Old Testament for the first time, but I've read Genesis 4 times now, and you grow with it every time you grow in the Lord, and you go back.
There are books missing. You know that there's 60 odd books missing. And also that, like we've been doing quite a lot with Martin Kenny and Josh X. Josh X is on tomorrow, everybody, by the way, with Trinity 4. And they like doing etymology and breaking the words down. And if we don't understand what the words are, every time you read it, you're not going to read it right. So you're not going to read it right with books missing. So you're never going to get it.
No.
Yeah, no, but I get it. I get it far more than what I did 6 weeks ago. And I'll get it next time I read it.
It is a big player in the world. Whether you want it or not, the Bible is a big player in the world. So
we all. So this is the thing, right? We're all truthers. We all want truth, and I gather everybody listening to this hangout today are all truthers as well. So that by being a truther, that means you acknowledge that we're being lied to. We're in a system full of lies. So that means there's 2 forces. This is what led me to where I am. Is that I was saying to Karen off air there before that if I hadn't have found God, I would be distraught right now. I would just be in a fetal position in my bed every day, and I wouldn't be able to get up. The stuff I'm learning, but the thing is, there's 2 forces. There's good and evil.
I found the Creator in quantum. Before this, I never was much of a believer. I mean, I was, but I had more country folk language. So we take more responsibility for ourselves, and we don't blame God, and we don't ask Him to save ourselves. That sort of thing. But quantum, and it was actually a religious priest that I saw as well, because they got really good arguments against evolution, and he just ripped these evolution people apart in this debate. So they definitely have evolution down pat. I lost track of what
ridiculous. Evolution's preposterous. You're still talking about quantum?
I'm not into religion at all, but I know a lot of people are. So
me either. I want you to know that I want everybody to know that I'm not the least bit religious. I'm not religious at all. I don't even consider myself Christian, because I haven't read in the Bible to say that I am Christian. All I am is a follower of Christ.
But you're
I don't even go to church
from a religion, so I don't understand that. I don't understand that argument at all.
Yeah, I'll explain. Religion's a psyop. Religion's
so
a
you've
psyop.
You've taken the original religion and you've turned it into what you think it is, rather than what the official version is.
No, the official version is Christ, the New Testament, and that's what I am. I follow Christ.
Well, you're not making sense. That makes no sense. How a religion is bullshit. I don't know. You're
I'm
not
not
religious, but you're using
It's not a
religious
religion.
books. Well, how can you
but
not be? Where else do you find God except in religious books?
I
He's not
found
in
God
any other topic.
No, I found God through the evils of the world.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't want to just argue with you over that one. That's
So
but,
religion's like the flat earth. So the flat earth's a psyop. So what's happened with flat earth is that they've gone, oh, okay, people know the earth's flat. Damn, we have to do something here. What are we going to do? They control the information. So what they've done is they've provided this AE map, and then they send out a whole heap of Freemasons to give everybody that AE map, and then they push another lie. It keeps everybody quiet. They just argue. They're in the cesspit, and they get no closer to truth. But people like us are looking for truth.
I think you'll find that
corrupted.
I think you'll find science. Oh, sorry.
Let me finish this up. So it's been corrupted and it's been psyopted, and the same thing with religion. So people look to religion, they look to the Catholics. Now, the Catholic is the Church of Satan. The Jews in Israel is the synagogue of Satan. Christianity is full of people who've got no idea what they're talking about. They don't read the Bible. They just seem to think if you lead a good, wholesome life and don't swear, that you're going to go to heaven. But it's not that. It's a spiritual journey. The whole thing's a spiritual journey, and it's about your walk with God, your walk with Jesus, and the walk with the Bible. And it's a religion. You look at religion, and religion's just full of Freemasonry. I cannot, every single pastor I find online that I like, it always ends up in the Freemasonry pit. And this is the other thing that's absolutely rocked me this week is my favourite pastor. His name's Pastor Charles Lawson. He's in America, and I've captured him 3 times this week doing Mason hand signs, and I can't believe it. I just cannot believe it. I'm absolutely stunned. The church is corrupt, and religion is corrupt to its absolute core, and that's why I can't. That's why I can't go to church. And it's finishing up. The whole world is finishing. It's finishing up. I can just see it. It's just everywhere.
We're not going to let you end the world over this religious crap. I am so sick of this God and Satan fighting bullshit. They're the same thing. They're opposite ends of the same thing. And
but because you don't believe it, and you can't
updated from the inside. I actually think that they're going to come out with neither a flat or a round world. I think they're going to go into digital holographic world. And
see, but because you can't comprehend it and you don't believe it, it doesn't mean it's not true. So let's not argue about it, because I know what the truth is. Because I walk with God and God talks to me and He's answering my prayers, and my whole life's changed. And it's not in my head.
That sounds like somebody who's hearing voices in their head. Like,
so now do I believe
that God is talking to you, the actual God creator? And
yes, He answers my prayers. So I've got a particular affliction.
You have a voice inside your head that's not yours talking to you.
Of course, because the Creator knows me better than I know myself, because He created me for a reason, and that's why I'm here. See, it all goes back to the garden. Why are we here? Why did God put us here? And it's a battle between Him and Satan. And you can reject it as much as you like, and you can not believe it as much as you like. That's fine, but it doesn't mean the truth's not the truth.
Right. I think a lot of people take Jesus as a consciousness. It's the consciousness of all that, rather than a lot of people don't necessarily believe that He's a person anymore.
Yeah, and that's fine. People like, I'm not gonna come on and discuss other people's beliefs when there's a whole heap of literature behind it without reading it. You know, like before I found Christ, I wasn't saying to people that follow Christ or the religious to say it's garbage, because I'd never read the Bible, and I'd never asked for God to come into my world, and I didn't pray.
We're talking about the same thing, because you're less now. If you like believe it in Jesus, it's the consciousness, because we're conscious beings. It's got to be about us. That's what it's about, us.
Well, yeah, and I didn't come in flat earth to learn religion. If I wanted to learn religion, I'd go to religious people and hang and talk to them.
Yeah, and you're not hanging with a religious person with me.
But I am. All that comes out your mouth is religious stuff. So how is that not religion?
No, I don't think I care for your tone, to be honest. Like, not everything that comes out of my mouth is religious. This is we got onto the topic. I've been talking about Knights Templar, and I've come on here this morning to talk about where the sun's coming up. But this is where the conversation's led. So please don't attack me.
Charles says, "Tell him I understand what he's saying, and he's right." That's what Charles says.
I know I'm right. I know, and thank you, Charles. I appreciate it. And that's the thing. Jesus said, "You will be hated for your love of me," and it's true. It's true. Like the world, the more I find Christ, the more the world rejects me, and that's fine because Jesus said it. And I'm strong in Christ.
All flat earthers, or the people that have woken up, are all persecuted now. We're all persecuted.
Yeah, of course, because we're living under the Freemasonry system, the Knights Templar system of Switzerland. That's where we are, and they're the Pharaoh. They represent Satan. They represent the serpent, and they rule the world. And people like me, I call us sandal wearers. We're just normal people. We wear our sandals. We've got our lamps full of oil, and away we go. You know, and we know truth, and we walk with Christ. And I tell you what, the world's a far different place when you walk with Christ.
Well, I was a bit shocked that I got sent a little video about some Gospels about Jesus. And at the age of 5, he killed 2 people, and then he brought them back to life at the age of 5. And that's when he got sent away. And he was sent away with monks. He went off with monks, and then he came back, obviously, when he's nearly 30 or whatever. But it's because he killed 2 people and brought them back. And I'm thinking, well, that doesn't sound right, does it, at the age of 5?
No, that's a false doctrine. That's not in the Bible. My understanding of Jesus's life in the Bible was that there's a lot of his life missing. So he was born, and then there's one part in the Bible where he was 12, and all the people he's talking about God's word to the Jews, to the 12 tribes of Israel, and they're just astonished. They're just astonished with what's coming out of his mouth. And Mary comes up to him, and he just basically says to Mary, just stop it, go away, I'm doing this, I'm fine. And then the next thing, he's like, you know, it's coming up to the days of the cross and all that. So there's large periods of his life missing, you know, and that makes me wonder, is because we talk about the extra books in Scripture that are missing, are they New Testament ones? I don't know. I just don't know.
I always thought it was strange before I got to Flat Earth, when I'd already read this book by a medium. It was called The Winds of Change, the book. And in it they were saying that Jesus had come for us to be more like him. And that's the one thing churches do, is make sure you can't be anything like him. You can't touch him. You can't be him. And the whole point was that consciousness. And for us to be that consciousness, that's what it was about. So mediums understand that.
All I know is I've got to heal myself from strokes. And I believe that my body was designed to self-heal itself. And I don't believe it was a miracle from God or the pharmaceutical company. I believe that the Creator built us so that designed to self-heal. And that's where I come from. So I come from this really weird perception.
No, I think there's absolutely merit in that. Like I think any truther that takes any sort of medication, unless they're going to die if they don't take it, they're mental, because we are self-healing, and the pharmaceutical industry is another part of the dragon. It's another part of the system where you're beholden to it. They poison you with medication.
It is really strange, isn't it? Say you've got 55 pills to take each day, and sorry for people.
Exactly.
I'm not putting anybody down, because some of those pills are keeping those people better, whatever, but a lot of them we know aren't. But imagine that. They're the drug takers. They are the drug. My
mum, because I was just down there at Christmas time, and I'm telling both my mum and my dad not to have the flu shots. And my dad's going, because I'm going, do you know what's in it? Because I don't want to know.
See?
How are they not a junkie who just rocks up with their arm out, going to their drug dealer? I don't want to know what's in it. Just make sure I get my fix.
I don't want to know what's in it. Just put it in me.
Yeah. And they've flipped it so that, you know, people, like in America, they call a chemist a drugstore. So it's blatantly obvious over there what the drugs are. But now if you mention drugs to somebody, they'll go illegal drugs.
And a lot of people don't realise it. A lot of drugs, they're there on purpose to stop you connecting to your higher self. That's the point. They don't want you doing that. They want you a zombie watching the television. But just to say one other thing before you answer that, Charles says to say to Brett, or to Trouble, tell Brett, my mum's dad was the chief of police in Hobart, Tasmania.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So just letting you know that they obviously know a bit about what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Ah, yes. I just wanted to finish up what we're talking about there with Jesus, just quickly. So it's not about being like him. So the way the story, I'll give you a quick sort of rundown of the story, is that Jesus gave God gave Moses the law, the 10 Commandments. Now, humanity can't keep the law. It's impossible to keep the law because we've got affliction. We're not perfect. You know, we've got temptation and we've got things that,
weren't we? The whole point of being here is free will.
Exactly, free will. That's why that's part of the creation. Okay, so that goes back to why we were created, why we are here, and to me, something went down in heaven before we got here. Something because we're all
seen
spirit.
The version of the 10 Commandments that's in positive, and they're actually like 100 commandments, and instead of thou shalt not, it says thou shall. Thought that was interesting.
Can I say something as well? Before we came on, Brett has understood that everything is a lie. That's what he's realising. He's not been in this whole thing that long. So he's learning, growing, understanding. But as you understand that everything is the other way around, even including you to us, the weather, everything, why then follow a book made by man?
What's that?
Why follow so much a book? If everything's supposed to be the other way round, it means the Bible is the other way round. That's what I'm saying. Books are missing. We need to understand through like etymology.
Oh, that's why I'm reading it. That's why I'm reading it, and that's why I pray. I read it and I pray and I ask God. I go, what do you mean by that? What does that mean? So I've been absolutely studying the 12 tribes of Israel at the moment because it's where man come from, is the 12 tribes of Israel, and I've been trying to understand it, and I've been praying to God, and things just come into my head. I just have this thought where I go, and I go back and read Genesis. I'm like, glory to God.
I think I lost my last bit of faith in religion when I found out that Lilith was the first woman, not Eve. So Eve isn't the first woman, Lilith is the first woman.
Yeah, I was reading something came up in a video.
That was just it. I just thought, no, bullshit.
Adam had been married before. Eve was not his first wife.
Yeah, those missing scriptures, they've got some doozies of information in them, so I don't know.
But just with Jesus, so the Israelites were trying to fulfill the law. They couldn't fulfill the law. They continuously let God down, and God would just punish them. But then Jesus came and he led so Jesus is God in the flesh. He came, he led the perfect life, he fulfilled the law, and then he died on the cross for our sins. So now we don't have to fulfill the law. We just have to ask Jesus for repentance.
That makes no sense to me. How does somebody die? But
it doesn't matter. If it doesn't make any sense to you, that just means you can't comprehend it, and it doesn't mean it's not true.
No, in my world, it's not true. But yeah,
there's many, and that's but your world or whatever world, it doesn't matter. The truth doesn't change. So it's like the Earth. You can talk to somebody who believes it's a globe, and they go, "It's a globe," and I just go, "Okay, it's a globe." I just
think I feel much better. All the books were there, and the Bible was broken.
I agree, but that's Freemasonry, Karen. That's Freemasonry, and that's the Swiss. That's the Knights Templar. And the modern day Israel that are doing that because they're trying to get us away from God. So you say instead of a conversation,
do we have to believe now that God actually comes down and writes books? Is that what we're all supposed to believe?
No. People were the people that wrote the Bible did it through God. Did it through them.
So they wrote on behalf of God. That's not actually God. That's a human speaking on behalf of God.
That's God's word. But again, because you can't comprehend God, it doesn't mean He's not true. I can't comprehend God.
I comprehend a creator. I just don't comprehend the religious God. No.
God is almighty. God is it. God is the creator. God did everything. And you can't, you read Genesis 1. Like I don't think, I'm starting to think there's nobody, I'll use the term Christian. I don't think there's a Christian out there that's ever read Genesis 1. That's where I'm at. They can't have, because every Christian I talk to think the earth's a globe and thinks I'm a moron.
So do you guys really think that God came down and he made everybody on the earth, and then he came down and made his elite bloodline by having a son? And
it's not
therefore this Jewish bloodline is now the elite. That's Jesus's brothers, all these elite Jewish people.
No. Jesus stopped all that. See, this is where Jesus.
One bloodline family that's better than everybody else. That doesn't sound like something.
Trouble, it's not going to make sense to you because you can't comprehend it and you don't want to comprehend it. So until you want to comprehend it, until you want to accept truth, you're not going to accept truth and you're not going to find truth.
I have to say, though, that in a sense, we don't need that book to connect to God, source, whatever. It's there or it isn't there. And the second thing is, who says what God has planned? Only man does. That's not true. It's God.
No, the Bible does. It's all in there. Go and read Revelation.
The Bible's been written by men. We just agreed on that
And
one.
there's books
No,
missing.
it was written.
It
It was
may have
written
been
by God.
deluded and had voice to brain tech.
Yeah, but
No, it was
Brett, I'm not
again
arguing.
because you
Brett.
can't comprehend it. It doesn't mean it's not true.
Brett,
God
listen,
wrote the Bible.
Just because you can comprehend it doesn't mean it is true. I can comprehend the globe Earth. Doesn't mean it's true. So
But
anyway.
I'm not saying I comprehend God, but the Bible's true. I've read enough of it now to know, and I've experienced God and His Spirit that much now. I know it's true.
Brett, if you have a book in
Right,
front of
good.
you that should have 20 or 30 chapters in it, and you've only got 10 or 15 of them, how are we ever going to work out what the real truth is with all these books missing?
Even if you had all the books, you will never find total truth, because God is just bigger than what we can comprehend, and we'll never find truth until we're standing in front of Him.
I think a computer might have written the Bible because it's all in perfect quantum maths. So I don't know.
See, quantum, it's God.
I'll tell you what, Brett, we should get Brett on an etymology call, like hangout, just so that he understands that part of it, because it'll open your eyes up even more, Brett. If anything.
No, how do you say? I'm not closed-minded to those books. Like I believe, like I can't say what I do and don't believe until I actually read them. Okay, so as I say, I only found out the moon landing was a hoax in 2016. So about 30 months ago, I found out the moon landing was a hoax, and then I repelled God, I repelled the Bible, and I just look for truth, look for truth outside of it, flat earth, 9/11, all that. And then I started to read the Bible around early last year. I started to dabble in it. It made no sense to me. I thought, why am I doing this? This is stupid. And then God just found me. I just found God in June. I was searching. I was searching by that point, and I remember the moment as clear as a bell. I was sitting in a park, and bang, bang, God just come into my heart. And I was born again, and my whole life just changed. It was just a spiritual event, and I was just reduced to tears. I couldn't believe what just happened to me. And since then, I got to about Christmas last year, so about a month ago, and I've always got this thing in my head, and I think we've all got it, is that you've always, when you believe something and when you learn something, you go, oh, might not be true, not sure. And I was like that with the Bible and God and Jesus, and I'm just like, oh, it all seems like a bit of a stretch, And then all of a sudden, a couple of things happened over Christmas, and I just went, oh my goodness gracious me, this is real. And then since then, God has just flicked the switch for me. He's just absolutely flicked the switch, and I'm learning all this new stuff. But in saying all that, I read the New Testament between when I was saved and when the flick was switched. I read the New Testament. I can't even really remember what I read. And then at Christmas, I started reading the Old Testament again, and I'm about halfway through now. Okay, so all these extra books and all this stuff you're talking about, I'm open to it, but I don't know because I haven't read them. But to me, it would appear Enoch. Enoch is a critical part of it. There's another one called the second book of Ezra. I've heard a lot about that, and I've watched a lot of videos where they sort of read out parts of it, and that resonates with me. And there's a book called the Book of Jasher. Jasher is one of the 12 tribes of Israel, so it makes sense that would be there. And last night I was reading the second book of Corinthians, and it's about the time where David was the king of Israel, and he had a prophet called Nathan, and the book of Corinthians directly referred to the book of Nathan. So that tells me that the book of Nathan should be in the Bible. So to me, just by reading that one verse last night, to me, that's opened the whole lot. It's opened the whole lot that there's chunks missing from the Bible. And to me, that's exciting because I'm going to read the Bible from cover to cover, and I'm hoping to do it by the end of this month, February. I'm going to read it cover to cover, and then from there, wherever God leads me, whether I have to read it again or I go to these other books. But I'm just a babe in Christ. I've only been saved 6 months, and I've only been on this truther thing for just over 2 years. As I say before, I feel like I've just I pick up the Bible, and it's the history of the world that I should have had in my hand when I was 5, learning about the true history of the world, not learning about evolution and learning that the Earth's a globe and all this crap. I should have been given the Bible, but now I'm 45 and I just got to cram for this exam.
So what have you been learning lately in these last couple of weeks?
In the Bible.
Oh no, I just meant in general. Sorry.
Well, actually,
in general. So, sorry, go on. Yep.
Yeah, I'm just going to put a link out on the channel because this is some data that you've been doing, and you were going to talk about that, weren't you?
Yeah, I'll just sort of get to Trouble's question, and I'll end with that, and we can pick it up from there. So the big ones that I've learned is the 12 tribes of Israel that are actually black, and these people in Israel today are imposters. And Revelation 2:9 speaks of that. The American slaves, they're the tribe of Judah, which split from the 12 tribes of Israel in Solomon's time. And then you've got the American Indians. They're in the 12 tribes. The Australian Aboriginals here, of which I am one. So that's just absolutely rocked my world, and it's changed the nature of my calling. And God's led me here, Trouble. This is how it works, right? So God's led me here. So part of my calling now is that God's taken me out of the system. I'm out of the system. I can no longer get a system. I haven't got a job. I can't get a job. The last 2 jobs I've had, I've been hounded out of the workplace just by bullies, right? And it's been horrendous. And I've applied for 100 jobs in the last 6 weeks, about 100 jobs, and I just get nothing because God doesn't want me working. He doesn't want me in the system. He's told me he wants me to buy, get this, he wants me to buy a camper van, and he wants me to go into a particular town here in New South Wales and minister the word. That's my calling. And then after that, he reveals that with my Aboriginal heritage, that I'm a member of the tribe of Reuben. Okay,
well, so you're a first Australian. I call Aboriginals first Australians.
But the thing is, where it's doing my head in. So where I referred to before with the American the American slaves, I then had a look. And it's funny when Wikipedia backs up truth. It's really interesting when that happens. But I've cross-referenced it a few times, and the Knights Templar first made their first appearance in Australia in the early 1600s. So to me, it's potentially they first set foot on Australia in 1619. It's highly possible, and it's probable that happened, and that's where the persecution of the Aboriginals started. And it's still happening to this day. Aboriginals in Australia are second-class citizens, and they've had 400 years of bondage under Knights Templar rule, who are the pharaohs, who are the Egyptians of the Bible. It's all very, very real.
Isn't there a tradition for first Australians to circumcise? And I always
circumcision. Circumcision comes back to what I was saying before about the law. So back in Leviticus, it was a physical thing. You had to be circumcised. And what it represented is that you cut off from the rest of society. So you're not going to like this because you're going to think it's elitist. But the Israelites had to be circumcised because they were God's people. But where circumcision is now, so Jesus said, no, or the Apostle Paul said it, I think in Acts, circumcision now is not a physical thing. So I'm now circumcised in Christ. So where I say before that I've been removed from the system in the world and God's shown me this and he wants to buy me a camper, I'm now circumcised in Christ because I'm removed from the world, right?
I think,
and people attack me because I follow Christ and the world rejects me. That's what circumcision is.
I think my point was more that if this is a Jewish trait and Australia has never seen a white man until recently, how the hell did it become an Aboriginal, a first Australians custom? Because it just shows there's something wrong with the history. I mean, they had this information already.
But yeah, because they're the 12 tribes of Israel, and God told them to do it. And another thing with the Aboriginals that really gets to me is that the 12 tribes aren't any angels. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they were always in trouble with God. And you read through Genesis 49. Genesis 49 is when Jacob was the father of the 12 tribes of Israel. He sat down. He sat down with his 12 sons, and he said, "Right, this is what you're going to be. This is what I'm going to prophesize. This is what you're going to be." And he's talking to his sons,
why are there no women in these stories? It's all just men.
No, there's women everywhere in the stories. The women are. I'm just not talking about stories with women in at the moment. But he sat them all down, and basically those 12 people, their names were like Reuben and Judah and Levi. They formed the 12 tribes of Israel, who are still alive today. Now, they were no angels. The 12 tribes of Israel were no angels. They got affliction coming out of their ass. The 12 tribes of Israel, and it says right through the Old Testament that I've been reading that they follow worship. They worship false gods, false idols, which is happening today. Which is happening today all over the earth. People follow their musicians, and you see that, what's her name, Lady Gaga, immersed in black goo, and people think it's fantastic. The children of Israel were always like that. And what fascinates me now with the Aboriginals is you have a look at their artwork. You see serpents everywhere, don't you? Wake up, Israel.
Yeah, and a lot of Aboriginal art, I think, is maps. They've mapped the place.
Have you ever heard of the Gosford Glyphs?
All their pictures. I had a few friends that were Aboriginal, and they down in Wodonga, and they were doing their own paintings, and I learnt so much from them. Like, I didn't realize that their paintings told a story. Like it's like a map. It's like
where I'm coming from with the serpent, with the snake, is the serpent represents the enemy, Satan, the Pharaohs, the Knights Templar. So I don't know where the Aboriginals are at, and right now I'm of the view, and I pray about this every day, and God is confirming it every day, and God changes. He changes the story as you grow with him, because he's graceful. God's graceful. He delivers you little bits of information, and then the story might change. I'll go, oh, right. So this week, as soon as I found out about the tribe of Reuben, and I've got to go and get a camper and go and minister the word, God said, see, Brett, it's got to be a 4-wheel drive, mate. You have to buy a 4-wheel drive camper, because you're going to go and minister to the tribe of Reuben. And that's how God's talking to me.
Wouldn't that be your own brain, common sense, telling you that? No, anyway, I'll shut up. Yep, keep going. Sorry.
No, trouble. You wrestle with that. Because what's going on is that we're spiritual beings in a fleshly body. So we're a flesh, and all our flesh wants is sin. All our flesh wants is pleasure and sin. Right?
Well,
our spirit wants good. Our spirit
I have
wants
a physical
good.
body. It needs looking after. It needs physical things.
We are allowed to live. We don't have to be perfect. That was the whole point of free choice.
Yeah, we don't have to, and that's also the point of the cross. And you come back to the free choice thing. That all comes back to why we are here, right? So think about it. We're in a fallen state. We're in this fleshly body as spirits, and we always, and particularly when you walk with,
you've woken up, haven't you? Trouble's woken up. Patricia's woken up. A lot of people are waking up. We're supposed to be where we are. Now is the time. It's now. Now is the time. It's happening now.
Time's short. The world's ending. Christ is coming. The condemned are going to the bottomless pit. So all these Knights Templar, all of these evil people that run the world, that tell us that it's a globe, they are going into the bottomless pit.
Anyway, shall I tell you what we've done? Because you can only stay for a certain period of time, Brett. Brett, can we do your data? I'm going to put it back in.
I would absolutely love to, and I thank you for letting me explain. I appreciate it. Because
we're a platform for everybody.
Where it's good for me, just from a selfish point of view, and when I say selfish, I mean my walk with Christ and growing with Christ, because that's my purpose in the world now, is that when I get the opportunity to talk like that, it really tests my sort of how I can deliver the information, because I'm only 6-7 months into this walking with Christ, and I only realized about 6 weeks ago that it's real, that I acknowledge that it's real, and in my heart now it's settled that it's real. So I'm very, very new at this, and this is my life now. This is what I will be doing until my dying breath, is I'll be ministering God's word. So thank you.
Yeah, so don't mean to sound argumentative. So I hope.
No. Jesus said it, Trouble, and I appreciate the fact that you listened to me, because Jesus said it. You will, and I'm not saying you hated me. You hate me. I'm not saying that for a minute. But Jesus said the world will hate you for loving me, and it's so true. Because people want their sin. People want their sin and they want their own beliefs and they don't want truth and they don't want to walk with Christ.
I think we were put here to worry about all that. We were put here to love.
And I think it's okay for everyone, for other people to have that stuff, but I just don't think it's okay for it to be forced on me because I don't have those beliefs. I don't believe I was born in sin. I'm a creation of the God. I might have stuffed up, but I don't know.
No,
we were born
into a world of sin. That's why we're all here. That's why we're all talking about lies. That's why we're all talking about the earth being flat and all that, because we were born into a world of sin.
We weren't sinned. It's who was here is sinned. They're the ones that are programmed and don't realise. But listen.
In a mathematical point of view, that would be sin, tan, and cos, and an angel would be an angle of perception. See, because every time you talk, all I see is geometric patterns in the numbers and things that you're using in my mind. So I go off on a completely different tangent. I get really lost.
I hope, and I'm confident that you two ladies one day will be saved by God.
I already have been.
So there. And another thing I wanted to say is that another thing I've learned recently is that different people walk like my mother walks with Christ and she's never read the Bible because God never gave her the ability to read. She can't retain information, Mum. Right? So she'll be sitting there watching the TV and 5 minutes later she'll be like, what did I just watch? You know, and I'm a little bit like that at times as well. And Mum says, Mum is absolutely following Christ, and she's rock solid that God's true. And that, to me, that's just everybody has a different walk with Christ because we're all born differently, and we all have a different mission. We all have a different purpose in God, in Christ. And I said to Mum, like my dad's a mighty man of God. You know, the experiences. I saw my dad when I was 8 years old. God took the smokes off him, the cigarettes off him in church when I was 8. It was 1982. And what I saw was extraordinary. Like he was laying on stairs and his whole body was convulsing. I could only see the whites of his eyes. And it was God coming over him. It obliterated the church. The whole church was obliterated after that because the church was demonic. And Dad's never smoked a cigarette again in his life and he hates them now.
I think the Creator comes to us in different ways that we can understand.
And I said to Mum, I said, maybe your purpose in with God, Mum, is to raise me because I'm clearly a man of God, and to marry Dad and look after Dad and keep Dad on track with God. You know, we've all got different purposes in life with God. You know, so other people, it might just be a little thing in your head, and you go, yeah, I believe that's true. I believe that's true, and I'm going to, you know, live my life in a good way. You know, you don't know. You just don't know what everybody's walk with God is. And I'm not one. I will challenge people sometimes, and I will have conversations with people, but I will never ever question their faith because that's between them and God. I'll never ever do that.
Okay, we understand where you stand. Shall we do the information bit?
Love to.
I'll mute so I don't take over the screen or anything.
I've put out your link back in the chat room so that link I've just put there is what Brett's going to talk about. That's in case because he didn't bring the piece of paper with him, so all the information's on there. But carry on, Brett.
I can't see the link because I'm on my phone, so I don't want to press any buttons, so I don't want to fall out. So basically, on that piece of paper there, what I did a video on this just after I did a video on this, and it's on my channel, and the thumbnail's this piece of paper you can see now. So where it started was I thought, because what I want to try and get through my head, right, is when the sun rises. So when I say all this, I'm talking about the traditional model that we've been given, because we've been given no other model. I'm talking about on the video. I did a video with a map of the world, a photo of the map of the world with some lines on it with where the sun's trajectory comes from. Now, the traditional model tells us here in Australia, the sun's location when it comes up is in South America. It's around about the west coast of South America. And when it sets, it sort of sets around about India, Sri Lanka. Okay, so it could be, you know, north and south of that, but that's sort of where it is in terms of the east-west. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep. So when it sets here, it goes towards Perth.
Everybody, when Brett was putting his video out, he'd always refer to where the sun was going and what it looked like going over his head, the arcing it does, and then it goes off. So that's what you're about for that one.
Yeah, and sort of where I went from there, and I thought, well, okay, when I see the sun set here, it's going towards Perth, and if you keep following that line of trajectory, it goes to Antarctica, which doesn't exist. Now, on the traditional, and I'm talking December solstice here, and the months around it, but let's just talk December solstice so we can be absolute what we're doing. So during the December solstice here, the sun sets around about, I can't think, it's Mexico, I think. Is it Mexico or no? That's where it rises. So it sets sort of Sri Lanka going down south a little bit more on the Tropic of Capricorn. So it might even be in the water. Now the sun is well south of there. So I thought to myself, okay, so when I'm looking at the sun setting in the southern sky, and I think on that thing there, it might be around about, so due west is 270 degrees. Yes, due west is 270 degrees. Right. So for anything to be setting north, it's got to be over 270 degrees. You vibing me?
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So where it sets here, it's setting here, say around about 250, 240 or something. It'd be on that piece of paper there that I put up where it set the degrees there on the 23rd. So what I thought to myself, well, okay, I'm looking at this object in the sky, and that's where it is for me. Okay, so the people in England. So you can see there's one there where it basically I think where it rises in England, that's where it's setting here. It's about an hour difference. It's setting here about 8 o'clock at night, which is around about 9 o'clock there, and the sun rises around about 8 o'clock in the morning there. So it's around about the same time. Can you see that?
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, people have got to watch it. So I'm watching it, but yeah, go on.
See that? Yeah, okay. If Trouble can see it, that's great. I'll assume everyone else can see that as well. So, so I'm looking at that object at that position. So the people in England are watching that same object rise at the same time in their sky on the other side of the sky, because they're the other side of the object. Okay, so where it rose in England, I think in England it rises there a little bit further north than us. I think from memory, it might be south. I'm not sure. But in any case, I really wish I had the piece of paper in front of me because I can't remember. But in any case, so you guys are north of that object, and it's slightly more south than what it is with us. Now, I really wish you could see that. I don't know if you can get it up, Karen, but it's on that video as well where I had the map of the world, and I've got the lines on it. The trajectory of the sun from when it rises in England, it sort of comes over, I think, Mongolia, the southern part of Russia. It sort of comes up that way. Whereas it's like completely like it's in New Zealand when it does it for us. You get what I mean? And there's not one place, I could not find one place on the earth on the 23rd of January where the sun either rose or set north of the east-west line. Not one. And what I found most fascinating is you look at Israel. So if you look at Israel and you look at where I am here, we're both on the 33rd parallel. So it starts at the equator, and then it goes one, and then it goes up as you go south here, and then it goes up as you go north there. So the 33rd parallel is Israel, and the 33rd parallel is us. So we're mirrors. And have a look at the sunrise and sunset positions for Israel and Sydney. They're basically exactly the same point. How can that be? It has to be the other side. It can't not be the other side. Because they're up there.
I mean the other side.
It's got to be like, so if it's south here, so as far south as it is here, it has to be north there. Because they're the other side of the equator. The other side of the sun. There might be some variance. Because of the season, because on the 23rd, it's sort of getting up towards halfway between the Tropic of Capricorn and the equator, but still, it should be in the northern sky in Israel, because they're the other side of the sun. They're the other side of the object, and it's the same with England. And you look at, there's another example. I think I did Greenland. That was the most northern part of the earth I could find. And then you look at La Paz. La Paz was the most southern. La Paz was the most southern point that I found in Chile. Southern point of the Earth, I found, and they're basically the same as well. They're the same. The sun's in the same point of the sky, but yet they're completely the different ends of the Earth in terms of north-south.
Hey, sorry, just to butt in there for 2 seconds. Beck from Oz has joined us. Hi, Beck. Nice to meet you.
Hi, guys. It was a bit unexpected, but happy to be here. I'm just taking my granddaughter upstairs. Just give me a sec.
Okay, another Australian person and a lady who does lots of videos and is seeing that things just don't add up.
Oh, that's right. That's for sure, guys. Okay, hang on a sec. Here you go, darling. Go see Mummy for a second. She's got to go daycare somewhere. Okay, I'm here, guys. How are you this morning?
Here,
Good,
you're on
thank
here
you.
with Brett and Trouble About from Australia, me and Patricia from the UK. Beck's been sending me videos and I've been putting some of her stuff up. She also notices things are very wrong. But Brett,
can I just check in to make sure that people understand what I'm saying here?
Go again, Brett.
So basically what I'm saying is that everywhere on the Earth on the 23rd of January, the sun rose in the southern sky and set in the southern sky, no matter where you are on Earth. So the most northern point I studied was Greenland, and the most southern point I studied was La Paz in Chile, and they both rose and set in the southern sky.
Wow. So what does that mean? Do you?
It definitely means it's not a globe, and it definitely means it's not AE. And to me, it appears like we're on a straight line with each other.
Yeah, it is
because
like we're a mirror version of the north.
It does. It does. It's like when it sets here. So try and picture this here, right? So when it sets here in New South Wales, it sets just south of west. So if you stand the other side of that at that point of the sun where it's rising, which is basically the UK. So if it's in Perth here, which is the southern sky, and it rises, and then it rises in England, I don't think in England you should be able to see it. But to me, what's happening is it's sort of crossing over because Antarctica isn't there. So let's use the globe model for a sec, right? Just so I can explain it. So let's say an aircraft might be able to fly from Perth over to England over Antarctica over the South Pole. And that's what I think's going on. Not the globe. I put the globe away. But what I think's going on is that it's crossing some sort of point. The sun crosses some sort of point because it appears in exactly the same point in England. And where it's going here, the direction it's going south, but yet you can see it north.
And what I don't get on the AE map is, wouldn't the sun have to go twice as fast in the southern hemisphere?
Oh yeah, the AE map's ridiculous.
And it doesn't. It's not moving across the sky twice as fast as the northern hemisphere.
But this is the
psyop. I'm sure.
This is the psyop, right? This is the psyop because it's ridiculous. All the flat Earth map is a globe that's squashed, and it behaves completely different up north. So you have a look at the AE map during the summer solstice up north, and it all fits fine. You know, the sun's swirling around, no problem. You got your 24-hour sun. But you have a look at the AE model when it's this time of year down here. There's no 24-hour sun as you go further down to the ice ring. There's no 24-hour sun. There's nothing like that. And the sun still tracks during the summer solstice here. The sun still tracks on the Tropic of Capricorn, which is north of me.
Yeah. I don't see it going south enough to have a 24-hour sun. I'm damned if I do. It would have to be done all the time, and it doesn't. It rises. Yeah, it's on in the northern hemisphere when it rises. It goes diagonally across the sky at the moment.
Let's be realistic here. When I go west, so if I head west, I'm going straight. I'm not going in a circle. I'm going straight. You know, whereas you look at the AE map, in order to go in a circle, in order to go west, and you just keep going west till you get to the same point, you got to go in this circle. I'm not going in a circle.
Geometrically, Earth can be round and flat. It can be all these different shapes, and so
you know what the big question is on the shape of the Earth for me. If we could find this out, the clincher, I reckon, for us, is that first of all, you have to acknowledge that circumnavigation, a east-west circumnavigation of the Earth, has happened. Okay, so we've seen it on TV, we've seen it on the internet. Did it happen? Let's assume it happened. Okay,
Over
so
the
let's
ocean. Yeah.
Let's put ourselves. There was that young girl that did it here, and Kay Cotty, and people like that have
but
done
it's
it.
not a straight line. They've gone
but
around
I'm
all
sus.
the, you know.
But I'm sus because I believe everything's a lie and everything's up for discussion. But let's go into that prison. Let's go into the prison that it's happened. The big question that has to be answered is, if you just go west and you keep going west, you end up at the same point. How does that happen? Now, the globers will say because it's a globe. Now, it's not a globe. We're not doing that. We've put that away. The globe's gone. I kicked it away in the park. The globe's finished. So how, if we can unlock that answer, I reckon we unlock this mystery.
Because I think it's a hologram. It's a shape, and it does everything. It repeats around on the sides. It repeats. I don't know. It's like a tetrahedron, and we can see one side at a time, and we can. Yeah, I don't know.
It's unbelievable. It's like the only thing to me that works, and I'm not saying this is what it is, but the only model to me that truly works is you get a flat map. And have you ever seen? You see it on aircraft when you go on a long flight. You see it on aircraft and stuff, that you can see like the physical sunlight, where the sunlight is at that point of time. And during the season, you can see it splays out north, splays out south during our summer, and vice versa. And it's on a flat map, and it just keeps going, and you get to the edge, you get to the end of it, and then it just goes back to the other side. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like a cylinder.
It's flat. No, it's flat, but it just the sun goes completely west, and then it appears from the east again, and then it does. Yeah. It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous thought. But to me, that's the only thing that
almost has to be folded in around itself. Yep.
Can I interject for a sec? The only reason it sounds ridiculous, I'm on the same page as Brett, but when you take into consideration that the Lord is real, I know that the lady, Patricia, is it? Said that, you know, she doesn't believe in that. That's fine, but with the Lord all things are possible. And I've noticed the moon in some really peculiar spots at the moment, like it shouldn't be half up, and when it should be tilted, it's been the top half of it's been up. I just believe, Brett, that, you know, the Lord can do all sorts of things, and he has changed the pattern of things in these days since we were young. Now, I was born in 65, and you must know yourself that nothing is the same as it was.
No, I agree. And just so you know, Beck, is it? Just so you know, I'm absolutely walking with Christ, and I feel I've been called to be an end of days messenger.
Yes, so have I. And we're going to notice things. We just have to pray for discernment and ask the Father how that we can explain this. There's a lot that we know in our spirit that we're having trouble putting into words.
I used to think when I first learned all this information, I used to think I was here to bring on Judgment Day, because I used to think, you know what, I'm not waiting for fake aliens or fake angels to come down and give us Judgment Day. We now have the internet. We have the ability to judge what we've created. We can self-judge ourselves.
No, that's a lie, because AI is a tool of the enemy to literally destroy us.
The internet's the dragon. The internet's the revelation dragon.
It could be Lucifer, the light bringer. Information is light, so maybe the internet is. So maybe it's not an actual being. Maybe it's like you said, a tool.
Are evil. It's not money that's evil. It's the people who are evil.
That's right.
No, Karen. Money's evil. No money. No, money's evil. Money is Lucifer's weapon.
We're not evil. This internet is doing us good. We're all communicating. We've met Beck for the first time today. This is good. It's what's being done, and we're not even really told about any of it. But you know, like for instance, I've come across Victor Schauberger, which completely puts out of the window. We've got all this fuel sitting on our aeroplanes. Now we've all done the fuel hoax thing, and then suddenly now he appears. There he all is. over the internet. We could have done with it a few months ago when everybody was calling us idiots for the fact there was millions of tons of fuel on the plane. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
Right.
not the people who keep doing this. It's not the things that, you know, the internet's not a bad thing, and neither is money. It's just the people are, and how we use
It's how we use it. Yeah, it's how we use it. Like, if you use your money for good, that's fine. But it's the same with the internet. I know people that look at porn. I only look at stuff like this. So I'm not using this tool as a tool of evil.
No, but it's the system. So money's the system.
Oh,
so
yeah.
you think right? Part of my calling is I need to start living a life without money. So my mission now in life is to earn and spend as little money as I can, because the Lord's taken me out of the system.
Right. I agree. Totally.
Anyway,
Totally.
Beck, explain where you are. So, Brett and Gillian, where are you in Australia to Beck? So say where you all are.
I'm in Central Coast of New South Wales, between Sydney and Newcastle. So Sydney, I'll say Sydney.
I'm in Brisbane.
Brisbane.
There you go. You're in the same place, you two.
Unbelievable. I've just lived there for 10 years and I come home last year. Can you believe this?
You left too early.
Whereabouts in Brisbane are you, honey?
I'm at Mango Hill.
I'm at Sunnybank Hills.
Oh, yeah, other side.
Yep.
South side, north side. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
So you two could do a bit of matching up to see even what is happening on the either side of Brisbane with the sun and stuff, couldn't you? You two, Beck and Trouble.
Yeah, we'll have to catch up, because if you see some sus stuff outside on the moon, I can go out and photograph it as well, and we can say, look, there's two of them. It's not just one.
We can compare.
Everybody, this back chat on Google Hangouts, Beck will have to go to her Gmail account, or whichever, Gmail will show you. You're all now linked, so you can all write to each other, get each other's email addresses, and carry on. You know,
terrific. Thank you. Something I wanted to throw out there, and I sort of threw it out there last time, and it's an ongoing, I'll say, plea for help. That what I intend doing now, so on, I think it's February 6th, so it's around about Tuesday, Wednesday next week. We're halfway between the solstice and the equinox. Okay, so I intend doing another Day in the Path of the Sun video then, and I would love it if somebody in England could do the same thing.
Well, I could have a go. The only problem
it's hard with cloud.
The only problem I have is the clouds. We have a lot of clouds.
But you can do it. You remember my first one? I did it over a period of a couple of weeks because I had that problem, and it still worked out okay because the movement of the sun is negligible in those times. So you can do it over a period of a few days. You lose a little bit of the authenticity, but not all of it. You know.
What you need for me then basically is, if I do it with you, is just some compass readings. You know, because mine has the tilt and everything in it. So you get where it is, the whole thing, time, location. You know, you get my GPS, you get everything. So I may as well do that. Do some compass
and cross-reference. Like there's an app I use on my phone. It's called Sky something or other, and you point your phone at the sky and it tells you what you're looking at. So you point it at Jupiter and it says it's Jupiter and all that. So I do.
Some of these compasses are actually more like what you would, you can do other things with them. People who are building things use these apps.
At the moment, half the planets are lined up with the sun. They're all kind of setting at the same time. Whereas we had all the planets in the sky last year.
I noticed Jupiter and Venus are really close to each other. Just what Beck said before about the moon, I've always watched these. I call them the wandering stars, not planets, but I understand planets because that's how we've all been told that what they are. But anyway, I've been watching those my whole life, and I remember when I was young, Venus was the brightest star in the sky, and Jupiter was just a little bit duller, but Jupiter was the second brightest, and then it was Saturn, and Mars was the dullest of the four. Whereas now, Venus has just come to life. I'm seeing Venus here during the daytime. I've actually got a video up on my YouTube channel where I took footage of Venus up in during the daytime. It was 8 o'clock in the morning. It was blue sky. It was boiling hot, and Venus. It's that bright you could still see it during the daytime. Jupiter has lost all its brightness. It's now dull. You wouldn't even know it was Jupiter now. It's gone that dull. And Saturn's gone dull. Saturn's now this horrible brown oozy colour. It's a horrible looking colour. And Mars has taken off. Mars is bright as, and it's completely changed from when we were kids.
Brett, also, there's a couple of people that I sub to. Sunny3, she's just a very small channel that films everything in the atmosphere. And Richie from Boston has this as well, that when they're filming these wandering stars, as we call them, the planets, that they come in and out of focus and they will jump around out of the frame, that they are alive. They have a life of their own. And you could go to Richie's channel or Sunny3 and see this. It's just incredible. And that's on tripods. The camera's on tripods.
Yeah, I've got heaps of film of stars. I can film stars in 5 different patterns. They can look like a round light. They can look like a 5-pointed star. They can be a round, flat, symmetrical pattern that looks like it's sand vibrating on a background. They can look like they're electricity and dancing lights. Yeah, they have 5 different. So far, I've found 5 different ways to photograph them. They're pretty amazing.
Yes. You seen the ones like with the bars on them? I think it was actually Venus that Sunny3 was taping, and it looked like Ezekiel's wheel. And there is a theory that that is the prison of that particular star. I thought that was very interesting.
Have you checked out the Southern Cross? Every one of the stars, because when I photograph stars, I can usually only get 1 star in the frame. But on the Southern Cross, I can get every point on the star in the Southern Cross has a tiny star next to it, a tiny blue star.
Is that right?
It's beautiful. Yeah, I should show you some of them.
Yes, do that.
What's Ezekiel's wheel?
In the Bible, Ezekiel, when he was taken up, he got he was shown a vision, and he was what was called Ezekiel's wheel, and he wasn't given the exact interpretation for it. So there's been a lot of theories that it is around it is a prison around the wandering stars, because if you're Bible believing Christian, they are imprisoned until the day that they will be released. I'm not sure of the chapter of that, Brett, I'm sorry, but look up in your concordance Ezekiel's wheel. Yeah,
I will. I will when I get home. So just to give you context, I'm reading the old.
Enoch mentions it a lot. Brett.
Yes.
Yeah. So just to give it context, I've only been saved about 6 months, and I'm reading the Old Testament for the first time. I hope to finish 2 Chronicles today. So I'm making my way through.
Yeah. Numbers is really hard.
No, I skip those because to me it's about the law. Those 3 books, Numbers, Deuteronomy, and Leviticus, it's about the law. And I'll come back to it. The law is important, but Jesus stopped all the law. But you know, I part of my calling is the tribe of Reuben, so I have to get back to it all. But no, I don't. It's not for me right now. Those 3 books.
No, that's good. You're not into the Torah. That's good. You're not going into the Torah side of it, because it's not. It's not. We're not under Torah.
Those people in Israel are not Jews.
Can I just go back to the information you were talking, because I don't know how long you can stay with us. That bit you're talking about with the sun only coming up in the southern hemisphere bit, what do you reckon to all that, by the way?
So it's not the southern hemisphere, it's the southern sky. It's the southern sky, so they're coming up everywhere on it. Was that at me, Karen, or?
Yeah.
Sorry? Yeah. Yeah, so it's coming up. So when you've got the east-west line, right? So I'll make sense with that. You've got a line east to west. That's a straight line. Everywhere on Earth, no matter where you are, on January 23rd, and I assume it's for numerous days, it's right around the solstice, there's not one point on Earth where the sun rises or sets north of that line. Everywhere on Earth, the sun rises and sets in the southern sky, And what I also noticed was here in New South Wales, at its zenith, so it spends about 2 hours in the northern sky here, about an hour previous and hence from its zenith, it's in the northern sky. And I thought, well, okay, so maybe I might be able to find where the sun is, because there's got to be a place where it's directly over us, right? So at some point, so I kept going north, and there was a place there in South America I can't think of the name of the place, but it's on that list in South America, and that was basically exactly where the sun should have been, straight over, because it's just above the Tropic of Capricorn. It was on I think it was in one of the South American countries, about halfway up near Chile. I can't think of the name of the town, of the city. But no, it was still it wasn't directly above, and there's no point where it just stops. It's just doing my head in. Because what I'm trying to do is find the sun. I want to know where the sun is. I want to know where it is.
Because yesterday we had Marie Wheatley on the other day, and she was talking about the spring solstice. It's a bit like, well, I thought there was just the winter and the summer one. So we obviously get other solstices. They're obviously not talked about.
No, they're the equinoxes. So you got the March and the September equinox, and you got the December and the June solstices.
What are you talking about? That's what I'm saying. Because what day in February?
Halfway. So we're halfway between the solstice and the equinox. So you've basically got 4 events, but I thought I'll do another one. Otherwise, you're 3 months between events. So I thought I'll do another one, and then we get more data. Then we start to understand more about what's going on.
All of us, Beck, Trouble, me, and you, on that day you want. We'll talk about it off a hangout. We'll do where the sun is on that day. It'd just be interesting to see how much different it is for them being in a different place to you in Australia.
Even someone in the chat. I mean, I don't want to sort of ask people to do things. I just sort of, people do whatever they want. But people on the chat, if you feel inclined and you want to help out, go for it. If you guys want to do it, go for it. I'm looking at probably about February 6th.
Do you think that we need just to get together on the hangout the day before to remind everybody, just even if it's half an hour or something, so you can tell this again?
Well, what I'll do, I'll put up a video on my channel, and then I'll send you a message, and maybe you can put it up on your channel, just to remind everyone.
Okay,
that sounds good.
Are you up for that?
I'm up for that. Yep.
Trouble?
Yep. Excuse me.
Cool. There's 4 of us already.
And I think I might go online this Savo and get myself a real compass.
Yeah, I
what
carry
time,
a
Brett?
compass in my handbag now. It's a really cheap one. I'd like a better one, but yeah, I've got a plastic one in my handbag.
I can't imagine they cost a lot.
You used to go out buying clothes. Now you go out with a compass.
I know. People ask for a pen. I've got to pull out my compass to get to the pen.
But see, in a way, even if you say that this is all evil, this stuff, it's a good thing because we're able to communicate. We're going to do an experiment. So all that's good, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, I agree. But where I'm coming from is that think of a world without money. Now, think of a world where you're trying to live without money. You can't do it because even to eat, you can't eat without money because you need to grow food somewhere. And in order to own the land to grow food, you have to have money. So money is the system. Money's that's how it should be. But even when you own the land, you've still got to pay the government money. Like my parents are retired. They've owned their house for 20 years and they still have to pay the government money for that land. Yeah. You can't live in this world without money, right? And that's where it's evil because
you can't. Yes.
No, you can't. And that's where I say it's the root of all evil because it's Satan's tool to keep us in his system. Right. And while you're in the system and you're beholden to money, you're not looking for God. You're not looking for answers because your whole life is about money and keeping ahead of your bills and trying to strive and get ahead and do well. And it's in society, it's representative where you are. So you look at people who are housing commission and things like that. Society look down at them, and people that are successful and they own their houses and stuff, people envy them. you know, and it's all about money, and that's not what life is. Life's about your journey with God. And that's what money does. Money just, it beholds you to Satan's system. And then people start to do bad things because of money. I believe people are inherently good. I honestly believe that. There's people in the world that aren't good. You know, they're the people that are lying to us and all that, the different blood type and all that, but I won't go into that. But I believe people are inherently good, but they're driven to do bad things because of money.
Brett, the time is coming where we, you and I both know that we will not have the money to function. And I know a lot of Christians have turned away from the Lord simply because they don't have the faith for him to keep us in that time. And the only people who will survive will be the ones who have that faith. Now, whether he decides to take us out, that's his choice. But if we do not receive some sort of mark, whether it be the mark or the card or whatever, we won't be able to buy or sell anything. I am spiritually prepared for that, mate. I am absolutely prepared.
Me too. And I think that's where, so just a bit of background with me. So I got a big redundancy from Telstra about 18 months ago, and that's when I left Brisbane, a little bit after that. And everything since then, God has just shown me that I have to get out of this system. He's gone, okay, here's some money to keep you while he's so graceful, God, isn't he, Beck? He's so graceful, just little bits and pieces. He doesn't inundate you. It's just little bit. And it's funny how the story changes as you grow with him. You know, his message towards you changes as you grow with him. And to me, it's just been, okay, here's all this money. Now, I've got to get you used to the idea of waking up, getting to know me, and getting out of the system. You know, and what you say really resonates, because it's very clear in Revelation that if you take that mark, you ain't getting in.
No, you won't. And that's what we're here for. It doesn't matter that people on this channel don't believe. We are watch women and men on the wall here. We've been called as the remnant for this time, for now.
Wow, hallelujah, sister. Geez, nice to meet you.
You too, Brett. You too. We'll have to face chat. We'll swap details and that later. I have to go very shortly, unfortunately, but I'll stay as long as I can.
I have to too, unfortunately, myself. I've got a commitment with my brother.
That's okay. We've said we don't have to be on here for the longest, and it looks like we're coming back anyway, aren't we?
Oh, I'd love to, Karen. I absolutely love this. I just want to check in. I can't see the chat, but is the mood of the chat, are they understanding? Are they receiving what I'm saying about the sun?
Yeah, I think they are. I think people are saying quite a few things in the chat room right now. They're talking about all sorts of things because you keep talking about Jesus and stuff.
I'll talk about that more than the sun. Yes. No, but to me, I just feel this is significant. I've never heard this before. I've never heard anyone say this before, that the sun rises south of the east-west line no matter where you are on Earth, and it sets at the same place. I just can't see how that's possible. So to me, what it's saying to me is that the Earth is not circular. It's not a circular. It's not a disc shape. Although I think the Bible might say that it is. But when you go east west, you go in a straight line. You don't go in a circle. And where places are on the Earth are not where they tell us. I think it's entirely possible that England's south of me. Because you think, right?
I absolutely agree.
You think right. So when the sun sets here and it's nighttime here, the sun is over England. It's in the English sky. So and it sets south here. So in order for me to get to the sun, I've got to go south, and that's where it is, over the top of the northern hemisphere. You understand?
The only weird thing is, I told you this. We had a hangout, and one of these days we didn't start till like 2 o'clock in the morning, and we were here. Trouble was here, and also we had people from America. It seemed that I was on the same day as Trouble, 7:30 in the morning. Now she was in the afternoon, 2, 3, wherever it was, but America was still the night before at 11:30. So everything's back to front. It wouldn't surprise me if they put, you're in the wrong day. You're actually behind America, not in front of it.
Yeah, because again, everything's up for discussion, and we assume everything's a lie.
Yeah.
The only thing we can go on, the only thing that we can really hold on to is God's word. And he said the face of the earth. Now, I am even questioning whether the continents are the shapes they say they are. Like you said, Brett, UK's probably south of here. Like nothing is right. Now, if we've been lied to about a little bit, we've been lied to about everything.
Oh, it's
everything.
It's colossal. It's absolutely colossal, the lies, because you look at school. You look at school, right? So we're born and instantly we're jabbed. They poison us with vaccines straight away because the earth is so poisonous. Straight away, and in those vaccines, I seriously believe people with autism are people that are strong followers of Christ. They're strong people of God, but somehow they've identified something in their brain, and the vaccines attack those people. Because every person I've met with autism they're a great kid. I've never met a horrible child with autism yet. Right. So in any case, we go to school and we're fed lies. We're fed lies straight away. We're fed that the Earth's a globe and evolution. Now they should be putting the Bible in your hand when you're 5 years old, because that's the history of the world. That's the reality of the world, and that's. But what I'm saying is that's how big the lies are. It starts, and then what happens is, as you become an adult, you then reinforce those lies unwittingly to your kids.
Yes.
And on the cycle goes.
Brett,
Yes.
Beck and Trouble. Martin True Love, the real magic in the chat room. He's put, in Australia, the gardens are north facing. Is that right? North facing?
What is, sorry?
The gardens are north facing.
The gardens?
People's gardens on their houses, are they north facing?
Oh, I can vary.
Oh,
yeah,
they really shouldn't be in the summer.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be in summer, no.
Okay, it's just he put, in Australia, the gardens are north facing, so that's not true.
I don't understand what it means.
Yeah, me either, because houses face all different directions. So for them all to be north facing, the houses would all have to be facing one direction to have that garden.
Okay, just asking. He put that in the chat room, just checking.
It might have more context. What he's saying might have more context.
Can I just interject one last thing, guys? There's a guy who I sub to. He's just a small channel. He's in America. It's called To Those Who Will Listen. He filmed the moon the other day, and there were no ends. The tips were gone.
Oh,
the tips on the moon were not there. Now, yeah, To Those Who Will Listen. It was just the other day, so the video's still there.
What's that scripture in Mark? There'll be signs in the sun, moon, and the stars?
Yeah. Yes, we're seeing them, Brett. We're seeing them like
sure
just so the pace that it's picked up now in the last 2 years, it's incredible.
Yeah. Beck, before you go, can you do me a favour? My favourite chapter in the Bible is Exodus 15. Go and read that for me. Go and read that for me, and just have a think about me when you read it. It is magnificent.
I will do, mate. I will.
Exodus 15, the end of it is just magnificent. It's all about water, and to me, I believe that's our physical connection to Christ, is water and trees.
Can I just say something? Martin's come back in the chat room. He says, I checked this. History says the first settlers made south-facing gardens.
Well, I know in Victoria, you would want the garden in the sun, so you would face north in Victoria because you want as much sun as like down on the coast, but if you're going to the Midlands of Victoria where it's really hot, I didn't live in Australia back then. I only live in it now, so I didn't live in houses back then.
I used to live in North Queensland in Mackay, and that's not as hot as Cairns is, which gets extremely hot. And we used to have our vegetable garden on the south side in Mackay because of the heat. But if we were in Victoria, it would have been on the north.
Yeah.
Yeah. And most of, I guess, the early history of Australia was Sydney, Melbourne. So,
yeah.
And I know Sydney gets warm. It's not hot like Queensland.
when I was in Brisbane, and I'd rent a house, I would get my phone out, the compass on my phone, and if it faced east, if the windows faced east, I wouldn't take the unit. If the sun comes up at like 4 a.m. and it's searing hot in summer, I'm like, no.
Hey guys, can I show you the sky right now?
Go for it.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I got to go this way, don't I? Hang on.
You're on the selfie.
I know, and I don't know. Is that coming out? Can you see
you're
that?
sideways, though. You're sideways. The phone needs to be turned around.
I've turned it to the sky. Is that doing it? Hang on.
You're sideways.
Facing.
Turn the
east.
iPod around. Turn the iPod. Twist the iPod. Yeah, that's it. Now you're up, Waze.
Is that good?
Fine.
Hang on.
I can't see. I've got the sun in my face. Okay, I'll learn how to do that for next time.
Turn it around again because we only saw it sideways.
Okay.
Yeah, you're doing it. It was just 90 degrees out. That's all. Just twist your phone.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Now that's pointing to the ground. So.
That's it. Got it.
That's it.
What time is it? About 10?
It is about 9:15, I think.
Yeah, okay. So
in the morning.
The sun would be at its zenith there at about 12 o'clock. I'd be
That's right.
I'd be curious to know whether it's more in the southern sky. Like, I think it'd still be in the northern sky at its zenith there, but whether it's further south or north than here. Because that's a whole different discussion.
What's happened is it is the zenith is on the north just, but it is setting souther. It's sort of spinning, it's gone north, and then goes to the south at sunset because it is setting way souther than it used to, like 5 years ago. I've been in this house 10 years.
So does it feel like the days have gotten longer since the solstice? I feel like the last week or so the days here have got longer. It's like it's daylight. We've got daylight saving here, and it's still. I go to bed at 8 o'clock, and it's still daytime at 8:30.
Right. Okay. So yeah, same here. Yeah, it's pretty. I think we've about trouble. It'd be about 7 o'clock, 7:15. It's still light in the sky here, isn't it?
I just came back from Victoria, like down Melbourne. I was in Portland, and it was daylight till 9:30, 10 o'clock. I'd be walking around the streets.
Twilight.
Yeah, and I go back to my sister. She's like, I've been worried sick about you. And I'm like, well, what? It's only like 8 o'clock or something. And be like, yeah, nearly 10 o'clock. I'm like, wow. I just couldn't adjust to it. I was only there a week.
But it's after the solstice, just before Christmas. It's meant to get shorter, but to me, it feels like it's getting longer.
That's the strange thing, Brett. It's I don't know.
Mornings, the sun's definitely coming up later in the mornings. Because I did that day in the Path of the Sun video, I think it might have been the 7th of January I did that, and I remember the sun come up at 5:50, and it's definitely dark now. It's dark now here, still at 6:30, but it's like the light has been transferred to the afternoon. It's setting later. It's just strange. It's really strange at the moment.
Our nights are getting longer. It's getting
dark. It out, man.
Now, oh my goodness, what a relief.
It's actually raining here today. It's raining here today, and I've got a long sleeve shirt on, and it's great. It's a real respite from the heat. It's beautiful here today. It's about 18 degrees, cloudy, lovely.
Yeah, this is about the coolest day so far that we've had for like 2-3 weeks. It has been so hot. Really bad.
It's hard. It gets hard. It gets hard, doesn't it?
Well, that's the thing too. I've noticed the humidity here, and we've hardly had any rain. We've had a couple of sprinkles at night, but the humidity here in the last 3 weeks is just like North Queensland, and it's never been like that. Not in Brisbane. It's always been a drier heat.
Yeah.
So we've got the humidity where you're even hot in the shade.
I used to love the climate in Brisbane because I found the summers up there was actually cooler than what it is back down here at home, which is strange.
Right.
But but it's consistent with what happens in Melbourne, because over Melbourne, it's 6 weeks over Christmas. You see it on the cricket and the tennis. You know, they just swelter. It's like 40-degree days, and it looks like it's just horrendous in Adelaide. I just don't see how that can be when they're south of me. You know, and
My
Hobart have been having 36-degree days.
Right, it's changed.
My daughter's down in Echuca, and they had 46 the other day.
Yeah. See,
but that's nothing unusual. That's not unusual.
When you look, and this is sort of the point of my sort of videos I've been doing about this, is that when you look at the traditional map, the sun never, ever goes south of the Tropic of Capricorn, which basically I think it goes through like Mackay. It might be around about where you are, Beck. I know you're in Queensland now. You're in Brisbane now.
used to be in Mackay, yeah.
In Mackay, yeah, and I'm pretty sure that's where it goes, and it sort of goes over the Northern Territory and the southern and the northern part of Western Australia. So the sun should never ever be south of that point. But yet, the further south you go, the further south it sets, the more light you get, and the hotter it gets. So that to me, that tells me that's where the sun is.
Yeah, but isn't it supposed to? Because otherwise, they wouldn't be able to claim their 24-hour sun in the southern South Pole.
Antarctica's not there. Antarctica represents something very, very demonic.
I know
black goo, the black goo, all of that. That's Antarctica.
There is so much we don't know. We just don't know.
No, we don't. And the sun,
going to space and going in space rockets, and we don't know enough of all about the place we live.
And they found black goo. They found the black goo in Europe, didn't they? Not Antarctica.
I believe something goes on in where they say Antarctica, because they all go there. Buzz Aldrin goes there. The Pope goes there. The Pope's got this mate, and he wears like the cross, and he wears these horrendous robes, and he just looks like Satan. He goes there, and they all come back with black. They all come back with black eyes. Every one of them come back with black eyes.
I mostly found God and Satan in law. You know, I found God in common law, in law of the land, of living entities of life, and Satan I more found in law of the sea, dead entities, commerce, corporations, corpses running around and having more rights in court than living entities, than God's life. That's sort of where I play with God and Satan. They make more sense.
That's representative of the system we find ourselves, the system beholden to money and Freemasonry and Knights Templar. And it's interesting because the beast in Revelation 13 comes out of the sea.
Well, apparently, like the church, I mean, the court used to be called Satan's Court in England hundreds of years ago. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I'd heard.
It all comes back to the Knights Templar.
Because there was a stage where you could take someone to court on behalf of a cow because you destroyed its drinking water or something like that. So maybe they went too far and we couldn't build anything because we had all these God laws of nature. You know, this is where I say I'm sick of them fighting in court. We need commerce and we need life. The two of them have got to get along at some stage.
But
this system was not designed to get along. It was designed to destroy humanity.
Correct. So that's Satan's mission.
Well, see, I don't like being a victim because I'm trying to heal myself, and that puts me out of the playing pitch. I'm now just a victim of these two super beings. And
you heal yourself through the blood of the cross.
Well, no, I don't like. Yeah, that doesn't work for me. I can't heal myself in that system.
Come here, darling.
I've got to wait for a miracle to come along, and no miracle's coming along unless I create the thing.
No, have you asked Jesus into your heart? Because I didn't believe, and I was very cynical, and I went, okay, if you're there, righto, this was 25 years ago.
I have to say that Trouble is a miracle, because she's had this most horrendous stroke where she didn't feel anything, and she has healed herself. So you are a miracle, Trouble.
Well, yeah, and I do believe there's a creator. And I just believe that whatever it is created me to self-heal. So, yeah, my world's a bit smaller than everyone else's.
Yeah, I think we were also created with the ability to do that. We just haven't been taught how. And
Yes.
that is a gift from the Father as well.
Well, can I
So
say
that is
a lot of it's been in us, but unfortunately, like you say, you come into this world, and what are you thrown? A globe world with all these lies. Everything's turned against you, and from a tiny child, you don't know. You're starting to lose the ways, your authentic self, the whole thing.
And with the church being corrupt, I think the pharmaceutical companies have come in and said, oh, you can't heal yourself, and the church isn't giving you a miracle because you haven't been saved. Now you can take some of our medicine because
Exactly.
you've been
Money and
rejected by
poison.
God because you haven't been
Money.
healed.
Money and poison.
I hate
You're
that.
beholden then to that then beholdens you to the system. So you're
Yeah, that's
beholden
the
because
world
you get
everyone,
you get
normal people want
addicted to the
drag you
drugs.
into. And
You get addicted to the drugs that's poisoning you, and you have to pay for them.
yeah.
So they get it double fold. Karen, I hate to do this, but I'm going to have to run, sister.
Well, it's a pleasure. Have something in my mouth. It's an absolute pleasure, and like I say, we're going to do this experiment then. So we will talk in the next few days because it's only a week away.
Yeah, I'm looking at February 6th. I think that might. What day is it today? Friday. So I think February 6th will be around Tuesday, Wednesday, something like that. I don't think I'll get the moon this time. I'm pretty sure the moon will be new.
Shall we all talk on Monday? Or Sunday night for me, Monday for you. Shall I do a joint email between us all, and then we just all talk on that email?
Yeah, look, I don't want anybody on here to feel obligated. It's just something I'm doing, and if people want to help, that's great. And this is where I want to throw it out to people that can hear this on the chat now. If they feel so inclined, they might want to do it. You don't necessarily have to put it up on YouTube. If anyone's on the chat and they can hear this, if you want, just send me all the clips and I'll put them all together for you. You don't have to clip it all together. I'll do all the editing for you. Just send me the clips.
What is it you want us to do? Exactly.
So basically, I don't know if you've seen them or not, Trouble, but I've done a couple of videos where a day in the path of the sun. So in the morning, I went out to the beach and I did like a selfie video of the sun coming up behind me, and I explained the directions where it was coming up from. And then I did another one at 8, another one at 10, another one at zenith, and then another 3 in the afternoon at sunset. I did about 6 or 7 videos, and I just basically talk about where the sun is at various stages during the day. Ultimately, like my absolute, I would love if somebody on the 33rd parallel could do it. I know that goes through Israel. I'm not sure where it goes through in America and stuff. It'd be a little bit south of the UK, but the UK would be brilliant. The UK would be brilliant because the UK is a place that absolutely fascinates me with the climate and the trajectory of the sun and all that. It's all back to front and wonky and weird up there. So it fascinates me. So if anyone could do it, it'd be terrific because I'd just love to collate, And that's the thing. That's what the systems want. That's what the flat Earth psyop is. I might just finish up on this one. That's what the flat Earth psyop is. So they want us in that fight, globe versus AE, globe versus flat. It's done. It's finished. The AE map doesn't work. The globe's a lie. It's finished. And they want to prevent people like us getting together to discuss our results. And I do this without prejudice. At the end of the day, I do not care what the shape of the Earth is. I want to know because it's God's creation and it's where I live. I want to know. But whatever the shape is, to me, it makes no difference. The truth's the truth, and that's all I want. So I do it the whole thing without prejudice.
I think that's everything.
That's why I'm not a flat earther.
And it's flat, and it's hollow, and it's concave, and it's convex, and it's digital, and it's holographic, and I think it's all of the above and more.
That's why I don't. That's why I don't identify as a flat earther because I don't know. I want to know.
Yeah,
but I think it's flat because it's clear. It's clear in Genesis 1. And this is where Christians upset me so much because Christians don't appear to have read Genesis 1. And it's clear in Genesis 1 that he put a firmament there and we're immersed in water, and that's why the sky's blue.
Level and stationary are the 2 words I'm starting to use now.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Stationary is a big one. Stationary is the big one because everything falls down. It's a geocentric Earth. That to me appears to be clear.
And I don't feel movement. And I have senses. They want us to be senseless. They want us to ignore our senses and become senseless.
We've got. I'm about to put up a video. I'm going to put up a video today about climate change and how it's freezing over there in America. And science is explaining why it's happening. It's still climate change. It's still climate change. Apparently, we've got two things in life we can rely on: the Bible and our senses. But the dragon insists on a third, and that's Freemasonry, and that's where the masses get their information from, is Freemasons. So you see something, I can't wait to get home to see what happened, so I can see what on the TV, on the news, to see exactly what happened. And that's the system, that's the dragon, that's the Freemasonry, that's the Knights Templar.
I haven't watched
the
news in 7 years.
No, I try not to, but I still keep an eye on it because I'm an end of days messenger. I absolutely keep my eye on it because my senses are just heightened at the moment that Babylon, which is America, is about to fall. And it appears to me that they've been pre-programming us about tsunamis. I believe earthquakes are fake. They're directed energy events because there's no tectonic plates, because the Earth isn't a globe. You've got to think through these things through. The Earth isn't a globe, so tectonic plates don't exist. Earthquakes don't exist. They've had the people on the west coast of America in fear for decades about the big one. And they've been great that tsunami that happened in Sri Lanka or wherever it was, Indonesia, about 15 years ago. And there's been more tsunami alerts. And it's the president of America now has got that. He sent out that emergency message test. To me, my sense, and the dollar bill, you can see it on the $100 bill in America, IPEC gate. It's all pointing towards a massive, massive tsunami event coming to America. And my eyes are well and truly on the Super Bowl. If it's not then, I don't know. But that's why I watch the news. Is I'm keeping an eye on that because I believe in my heart it's coming.
Which side is it going to hit then?
I believe it's going to hit New York.
From where?
The earthquake. So on IPEC gate, you can see there's a shark on the chalkboard. Sharks represent submarines in the water. I believe it's going to generate from Hawaii. The earthquake will be in Hawaii, and the tsunami will hit New York as a result of that.
Well, that sounds possible, doesn't it?
And this is where end of days is going to start. Babylon will fall. That'll be where the Antichrist starts, and that's where it all starts.
What about places like, say, Greenland and the sort of on the same bit of water, supposedly? So what about places like that? Is it going to affect us?
I don't know. I just know. I know America represents Babylon. I don't know where you are with that, Beck.
I do believe that.
Yeah, America represents Babylon, and Babylon will fall. I don't know whether it's them or the Lord that will do it. I don't know what the Bible says there, Beck. But whether I've heard it's the Lord that's going to do it. I don't know.
Yes,
but Babylon.
It is judgment. It's the year of judgment. It's the year of judgment. It starts.
But if we have the technology to fake God, how are you going to know whether God did it or whether they used technology?
Me and Beck will.
It doesn't really matter because they will wipe themselves out either way if they're going to do it. And if the Lord does it, well, they get wiped out either way.
Yeah. And that's where, as a result of that, that's where I believe we'll see the rise of the Antichrist, and everything is pointing to Barack Obama being him. That's where the Antichrist will sit on the throne, and everybody. That's Revelation 13. Just read Revelation 13 and just.
If you go back and watch the end of,
I think we should change it because this sounds like a terrible thing to have happen.
Yeah,
there's no change.
It's all the whole thing. This is the thing you've got to get your head around. Trouble is the whole thing has just been pre-organized. God's just been in control the whole time, and the whole thing's predestined. It's all part of the test. It's all part of why we were created, why we're here. Because I feel it's hard to know, but I feel that we were here put for a reason because something went on with us in heaven, and whether it had to do with the fall, I don't know. I'm only young in all this, but it's to me we were sent here for a reason, a purpose, and it's up to us to wake up and follow Christ.
Absolutely, Brad. I was just going to say, if you get a chance to watch the very end of Deep Impact, just have a look at that. talk about predictive programming again, Brett. And they've been programming us for years about the tsunami. But deep impact was, that really deep impacted me.
Right.
So that is the water event.
I'll have a look when I
most
get
of the
home.
films now, aren't they? You had the day after, and then after that, America Ups. You've got like the Matrix. You've got the Truman Show. It just goes on. They're telling us all in the films.
They are.
Yes.
They are.
Anyway,
And people don't believe it. People don't believe it. They just think people like us are crazy. Beck, did you know that I don't know whether you were on when I said this before, but slavery started. So the tribe of Judah, I think, is the Africans, the slaves, and they come over in 1619, which is 400 years to now.
It's the end. Yeah. Yes. It's the 400 years. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm on high alert for February 3 in America. I was sort of over Christmas. I thought it may have happened at Christmas, New Year. I was watching New Year and I watched the coverage of the English New Year on Sky over there on Foxtel here, and it was demonic. You know, they had the Beatles playing Imagine, which is, a one world government. All you need is love, which is their system. All come together as one as love. You know, the Tower of Babel. I saw this woman in the crowd. I put it up on my YouTube channel. I called it Britain 666. Just this random lady in the crowd, and she's flashing the 666 in front of everyone, and it was clearly orchestrated. And the man she was with was really, really anxious about her doing it. The kids were in on it. It was just dark. All I'm seeing right now is darkness. It's just dark. Get right with God, people. I'm telling you.
Brett, can I ask you something? Which is the video where you've got Venus up in the daytime?
It's just called Daytime Venus. It's I think the thumbnail's probably just blue sky. It would have been a while ago now, because I've been doing a lot of videos because I've got a lot on my mind. It'd be a while ago now, but it's called Daytime Venus.
Okay then. And you've got to go, haven't you, really?
I do. I'm so sorry. My brother just texted me. He's like, "Where are you?"
I can screen share some Southern Cross footage if you want of it.
I'll take off. Thank you so much, ladies. I've loved this. Thank you again, Karen, for having me on. I'm really flattered. I'm really flattered that you've taken an interest in me and my belief system and the work I've been doing with the sun. So I'm just a guy from the Central Coast who just started doing videos 6 months ago. So to be picked up by somebody like you really means a lot to me. So I appreciate it.
You're part of the family, part of the community. We're part of all this together. We've got to start coming together.
Thank you. And I also
Brett,
want to thank...
my story is the same with Karen. She picked me up, and I've only been doing videos for about 4 months. Yeah.
There you go. I'll sub to you when I get home. And it's funny, part of my calling is I'm going to buy a camper van and go and minister God's word. That's how God's talking to me at the moment. So I'm starting to think I'm going to be in Brisbane at some point. So it'd be wonderful to meet you. To all the people that are out there listening to this, I really want to thank you as well for taking the time. It does mean a lot. Lovely meeting you, Beck. I really want to meet you in person. Really want you.
Yes.
You seem like the type of person that I need to meet and spend time with. And trouble. It's good talking to you again, and may God be with you.
You too, mate.
Okay, cheers, ladies.
See ya.
Bye, darling.
Bye, Brett.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Brett.
Girls, I have to fly too. I'm going to love you and leave you, and we'll hang out next time.
It's good that Sun and Moon's put people together. Anyway, it's nice to meet you, Beck.
You're awesome, Karen. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you a lot. Thank you a lot.
Nice to
Bye,
meet you,
Trouble.
Bye.
We'll catch up.
Okay.
Bye, darling.
Okay, guys. Bye.
Bye, darling.
Bye.
Bye. Okay. Trouble, do you want to show us this video then, and we'll go after that? But do you know how to screen share without showing the link and everything?
Yep.
I'll just put it on to Patricia for a moment. You put on what you've got to put on.
Okay.
Patricia's cushions there.
So what are you up to today?
I'm I didn't do that much today. I'm going to do something after the hangout, and then I'm going to bed. Then I've got, I've got things to do, little videos to make.
Yeah. Oh, well, I might leave this then because I've got to because I'm on my iPad now, so I've got to put my other account into chat, into Hangouts.
Well, do you want to do that another night, Trouble? Because you always keep threatening to come on and show us some of your stuff. Do you want to come on and do it another day?
Yeah, we can do that. I just do it to fill in time, really. I don't know if people are really interested in all this kind of stars and things. Yeah.
Of course they are. But we can if you want, if you don't want to do it today, we'll just do it. We'll just come back shortly, whenever.
Yeah.
And then do it again. But I mean, maybe we can do it like I don't know, an Australian night again, but we'll just do your bit first.
Oh no, I'll just sit there in the background and just screen share while people talk. If you want. But yeah, no, I've got heaps of different info. I've got stuff on the brain. Yeah, see, because I come from a totally different perspective to everybody else. I think space is where the mechanics of matter is held. Yeah,
the only space we've got is around us, and as high as we can go. That's the space. Yeah,
I've got a mixture of information. So I've got a little bit of religion, a little bit of quantum physics, a little bit of normal, just little bits of everything. And I've gone into the Blue Brain Project, so I know that we're able to make at least 11 dimensions inside our brain. So when people start talking about these dimensions in other world, I just don't go there. In my brain, I know that we're able to do that inside our heads.
You can think, breathe, talk, eat, walk, all at the same time. And all these things are happening at the same time. People don't realise that we're multi. What's the word? The low air's just gone out of my brain. Dimensional. We're multi-dimensional ourselves. People have to realise that. People go, "What do you mean?" Fifth, we're multi-dimensional ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. There's just all these different viewpoints and different perspectives, and I love going into all of them, but none of them seem to have all the answers to everything. It's like you get a little bit of from here and a little bit from there and a little. That's why I said to you, I think the Earth's everything. It's not just one thing. I don't know.
Well, if it's multi-dimensional, we might never know. It'll look what it is to us in a sense, but it won't be. It's always something else because we can't see the other dimensions.
Well, it's like this, like you were saying about the flat map thing that, the rectangle one, you go off one edge, then it just continues. So it's like it's a cylinder, but we know it's not curved. So do you know what I mean? Like we can get snapshots of it, but we can't get this whole picture of it because the information just doesn't compute in our brains that it could be flat and go around, like be a tube sort of shape, a cone.
Yeah, donut.
As well as being a round flat plate, as well as being a ball, as well as being inside out, as well as being like geometrically and mathematically wise, we've got the ability to do that. So we can construct those images in our heads, no problem once you're given enough information. I don't know, it's magical. And I don't mean that in like, a mysterious magical way. It's just beautifully magical.
But it has to be, doesn't it? Something supernatural has made us. That's for sure.
Yeah. And then, because I more don't want to be a victim, so I more to try to take response. So if I'm ever going to look at that religious stuff, then I'm going to look probably from the perspective that we might be the fallen angels, and that we had this beautiful creation here, Antiquitech or whatever they want to call it, and maybe it is the themes that you hear that we did just get lazy. We had these machines to do everything for us, and then maybe we became ungrateful, and we just stuffed it all up. Maybe it's just as simple as that. I don't know.
But the consciousness is changing, and that's what needs to happen to bring us back, because we've gone so narcissistic-like and nobody cares and likes for each other. So hopefully as we wake up and more people are waking up, and the children of those children's, because it'll be a vibe and a frequency that goes through those children, everything starts changing. It has to, because it's quite dire right now. It's ugly.
Yeah, well,
the place we live is
I believe between us all, we have the answer to every question that was ever asked. So I just think as more people come online, more solutions will turn up, more possibilities, more options, more clarity. So yeah,
and more truth. So we do, you know, like we move on because none of us know exactly where we live or where we are exactly. But it would be nice, even if it's now, tomorrow, next year, to know where we live. But we move on. We have to.
Yeah, and we may not be able to get high enough to get any good idea in one go. It might have to just be, you know, up so high and take so many photographs and piece it all together. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, Patricia, are you there? Patricia was there at the beginning, everybody. That was a couple of hours ago. Patricia, are you there? Just seeing if she's there to say goodbye. She takes a couple of seconds to unmute if she's there.
Yeah.
Is she going to unmute? I don't think she is.
But
usually she's listening. She just can't get to the phone quick enough. But anyway,
oh, here she is.
Oh, did she say something? I didn't see her unmute. I don't think she's there, Trouble. Anyway, it's been interesting talk today, and also I think we should, even if we just do it once.
Yeah, Karen, my son's got telly on. Sorry,
I told you he was there.
I've been here all the time, Karen. It's just I can't get onto my thingy because I'm looking on a different page, but I'm listening, and
That's all right.
On my computer.
It's okay. I said to everybody, you're usually there, and you can't usually get on. Yeah, it's very interesting. We're going to do this experiment.
Can I just say something? Because I don't want to be, because obviously telly's on in the background. Just want to say I love you all and take care. Love you, Trouble. Love you, Karen. Love you in the chat room.
Love you too.
And we love Patricia.
Yeah, she's a sweetie.
She is a sweetie. She's lovely.
Now I might walk the walk.
Yeah, she's done it now. Anyway, Trouble.
I'm still here.
She's still there. Trouble, do you want to say anything on the way out, or are you quite happy?
Yeah, really good actually. Pretty happy.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
My tea and coffee taste so much
better. Okay, don't worry, Patricia. We're going to go now. We're back tomorrow with, well, it looks like Martin Kenny, Josh X, Trinity 4. Who else is on my list? David, Demetria, Nicholas. We're back tomorrow to talk about the Trinity Taurus. So we'll see you tomorrow. Bye, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, Beck. Thank you, Patricia. Thank you, Trouble. Thank you, everybody.